Okay, we are starting webinar new Revit tool for wall reinforcement. My name is Valentas Balsevičius. I'm a structural engineer and BIM application engineer working here in AGACAD. Our mission is to create solutions for continuous BIM acceleration for all BIM industry markets. So we sell our software worldwide. And we have a lot of different kind of solutions. Today we'll talk about wall reinforcement, and which is the part of precast concrete as well. So you can see that we are authorized Autodesk developers and industry partners for precast concrete with Autodesk. So wall reinforcement tool is to create reinforcement for solid and multi-layered, so basically sandwich or double walls and so on. So we'll see how to create, to modify, update reinforcement. And then precast concrete is also a solution to work in Revit, to create precast elements, to insert details, to sort elements, and to create drawings. So what you will see in this webinar is how to use this new tool. I will go through all the current features of this tool, how to use it on solid walls, on multi-layered walls, and then really quick view on full workflow, how to use precast concrete to split walls, insert connections, place reinforcement, renumber elements, and create automatic shop drawings. So this is it. We will switch off the slides and we will move on to Revit window over here. So you should see my Revit window here. If you have questions, drop me a note, or if something goes wrong, also drop me a note. I'll try to track this. All right, this is a sample project which I will use for webinar. So in the beginning, I'll start from solid walls. So this is wall reinforcement tool. Just a couple of words. Let me just minimize this webinar window. Yeah, so we have this tools for BIM doc, which you see on the right side. You can get all of our tools, trials, and so on from here. So wall reinforcement will appear in it in upcoming hours. So we'll be able to test it or get a trial. Maybe today or tomorrow it will be available in the doc, but today I will show you from here all of the commands which will be available for you as well. So let's get started. So first of all, workflow of using this tool. You need to have reinforcement shapes in your model. So basically I have some shape families in my model, and I will then can start using this tool, right? So I have rebar configurations here. By default, you will have one configuration. I already created a couple of more, but we will start from default configuration and just review what configurations are possible and what we can do. So I'll give it a new name. Call it like this: main rebar. Maybe I'll just also give it like one number in front. So we have common settings. We have reinforcement for mesh reinforcement, opening reinforcement, and perimeter reinforcement. So let's do it step by step. What do we have here is minimal rebar ramps. So if I will enter this kind of value, so it means that all the rebar smaller than that will be deleted from that wall. So yeah, I probably want to get rid of smaller pieces. In some situations, then this is the limitations for the distance between bars. In some situations, then I can set solid reinforcement. When I create them in 3D view, they will be created as solid. Also unobscured, I can select that, and then partition. So walls will be a reinforcement will be assigned to defined partition. So I will type in here the name of partition. So Revit automatically renumbers reinforcement within each partition. So that's also a good thing to use. Okay, so we'll check these options for external reinforcement. So why do we have external internal reinforcement? It's just that we have vertical and horizontal bars, and then covers, right? So cover will be from external side of wall layer. So that's the option for this one, and just the difference between two of these. Right, so let's select to create rebar. When we have rebar style, we can pick what do we want to use. Then we choose the rebar type. So this is 8 millimeters diameter for me. Then step, and then this is the first last spacing from the start of a wall, or from the start of a wall, from end of a wall, or from both sides of a wall. And similar options for the horizontal bar, right? We select the element which we want to use, the step, the distance, and covers. So here, horizontal, major rebar will be horizontal, so it means it will be closer to the external side. And then cover, this will be the distance from the external side of wall layer to the horizontal reinforcement. And then offsets of vertical and horizontal elements, you put here a positive value if you want to have offset to the inside of the wall, and negative if you want to extend it to the other direction, outside the boundaries of a wall, right? So these kind of options. So let me show you quickly if I create configuration like this and I pick the wall, and then next step is to assign for wall what kind of configuration do you want to use. So I pick this wall, I click on wall link, and it will give me all the wall types which I have here in my model, right? So this one I'm currently working on, and I have only one layer in this wall, and I will say I want to use this reinforcement type, reinforcement configuration on this wall type. Okay, so let's do it. Let's take a look what will happen. So basically now it's just distributing this element. Now it's like 150 millimeters from the start of a wall, and then I have 200 millimeter step of vertical bars, and the same is for horizontal bars, and at the end again I have 150 millimeters here. These are my settings, right? Now, so this is the workflow, right? You create configuration, you link configuration to the wall, and then you create reinforcement. Then we have a couple of other commands. So what are these is that, for example, if I'll copy this wall over here, so these reinforcements are created now by Revit, so I'm just going to delete them, and I will create reinforcement with our tool again. So this will be like this, and so this command is to modify reinforcement, right? So what you can do is that you can make individual modifications for instance wall elements. So if I select reinforcement, click on modify, it will bring me the configuration, right? This configuration, and I can make changes whichever I want. Let's say I can change the type of reinforcement, I can change the step of reinforcement, I can change the offsets maybe, right? So when I make this kind of changes, click on save and close, it will update based on my new settings for this particular wall. Now you will see that, yeah, so just this one modified, right? And then we have two options for the update of reinforcement. So basically, if you have some changes in reinforcement, wall shape or something, you can run the update. So let me show you what's the difference here is that if I'll delete a couple of bars from these walls, and then I use command to update rebar, so it will update reinforcement based on the configuration which was used on this wall. So you see this one, it still has this modified configuration, and this one has the first one which I used. And another command is to update by wall link. So if I will do the same, right, and then I will do update by wall link, so it will update, it will delete the reinforcement, then it will take a look what configuration is selected here, and it will apply this create rebar command again, and then I will have this reinforcement again created, now the same for both panels, right? And delete reinforce rebar, so it will delete all the reinforcement hosted to the wall. So manually placed reinforcement, automatically placed reinforcement, all of rebar will be deleted. Right, so that's one of the options. Now let's go to rebar configurations. Let's take a look to other possibilities, right? So internal reinforcement, it's the same as previous, right? I will just quickly run some changes to this configuration. I will save it, save and close, and then I will update by wall link, right? By the latest changes in configuration. So I have now 2 meshes of reinforcement, right? Sorry, let's make it from the top view. So you see we have 2 meshes of reinforcement. So now this is really a simple wall, right? But let's take a look how does it work if it's a little bit more complex. So for that, what I will do, I will select this wall. I will select Smart Connections tool from Precast Concrete. I will go here and then I will say I want to insert some elements. So basically want to select no grouping and this configuration. So this Smart Connections, for those who don't know, this is the tool which has configurations where you can define how to place line-based elements, how to place point-based elements, how everything should be created, lined up. We can find different kind of connections between elements, and we can use it in many different situations with wall, steel, precast, whatever, wood structures and so on. But let's go back and see how this works. So I have this configuration. I will click to insert. So what happened here is that I have this line-based element cut, placed at the top of my wall, and then some chamfer over here and chamfer over here. So I cut my wall in this shape, and I want to update reinforcement. So when I update reinforcement, it will find this new boundaries of the wall, and then my mesh of will be cut based on this shape, right? Yeah, let's delete these elements, and then let's insert another configuration, just another example. So we'll run through 3 of examples and see how reinforcement will adopt to this. So when I change this one, what do I have here? I have it, yeah, probably from the top view. You will see I have cut here and cut here at the ends of the wall, and I'll run update again. So you'll see, no surprise, it's updating that, right? If it's not aligned, of course, you can just change your configurations like it should be, right? Maybe it should be slightly different distance, and it will be aligned, right? So this kind of stuff. And then yeah, let's move on to the last one, maybe just to quickly review that. Create, insert elements, and then the last configuration which I want to use over here, like that. All right. So again, very similar, but it's just the top and bottom cut, right? And then run the update of reinforcement, and we have it just follows the shape of your wall, right? So you can have openings, you can have cuts, and so on. So it will always follow the shape of your wall, right? So okay, that's good. Now let's see what other options in reinforcement configuration is available. For that, I will create new configuration, so it will be a little bit more clearly seen. So I will call it like this maybe, and then I will go here to other options. What do we have? So for opening reinforcement, what do we have? Opening edge reinforcement, opening diagonal rebars, and opening U and O stirrups. Okay, so let's see what kind of option do we have for that. So here is schematic image, like this is opening and this is the edges of opening. We can define what kind of reinforcement and how many of these bars should be created along the vertical or horizontal edges of the opening. Right, so I select one element, rebar type, and I can select the position. If it's one element, we can place it at the external side with some cover settings, or internal or center. or we can have two elements, right? So it will, when we'll use internal cover, we will use edge cover, so this is distance from the edge of opening. And also we have anchorage length, so this will be extended just outside the boundaries of the opening, right? If I can say like this. And then if there's not enough space for bar, it will be bended. Then, so this is one line of reinforcement. We can have two lines if we want to. We can have it like this. In schematic view, it looks like it's two rows, but actually it could be like this, that they will be in one row. If you use, so basically this distance defines how much they will be offsetted from the edge of the opening, right? And then you can make them different, on left and right edge. So again, the same options, right? We have two of these or something. So we could use different kind of options for that. But maybe I'll just stick to a pretty standard situation, and then I will use vertical like this, and then the horizontal elements also maybe I'll just use 12 diameter. And well, this is the covers from the external side, so I don't want to intersect vertical and horizontal reinforcement, so I'll change these values. And then a diagonal element, so this is like element which is like 45 degrees to the corner of opening, if I can say it like this. Some cover settings as well, and what should be the length of this bar, right? And the position. Again, similar options here. So I will save it and save and close, and let's take a look. Actually, let's do like this. Let's first of all delete these guys, and then delete maybe reinforcement, and then it will be visible how this works. So I'll choose this second configuration for the wall type, and then I create rebar. I am using now this new configuration which I used, right? Okay, so bars are like lines, but because in rebar configuration I didn't select to make them as solid, and also partition could be the same, or the distance of minimal bar could be like that. All right, and if I will update by volume, probably will get solid view. All right, so it goes like this. We have these elements, vertical bars, horizontal bars around opening, and we have this diagonal bar, which is 1000 millimeters length, right? So this is for the opening. So you see that this door is not opening, it's like a perimeter, right? So for perimeter, we have other options. So we have here under perimeter, we have quite similar possibilities, like we select what should be the type of reinforcement, anchorage length, and then L-shape bars will be also created in the corners for the anchoring. And then yeah, the distances are quite similar to previous which you saw, and then I'll pick the same settings over here also. Let's change it like this, and I will save it and save and close, and then I will update by walling again, and we will see what's the result now. So as I said, the perimeter bars is like you have straight bars, you have these L-shaped bars in the corners, as well these are anchoring distance from the edge of wall to the end of the bar. Then we have diagonal elements at the perimeter corners, and then in this kind of situations, and it will bend it like this. So that kind of stuff, right? And maybe as a separate example, I will show you another one, like default configuration, save as, and let's make it like the third one, U and O bars, bar. Okay, so we'll call it like this, solid. Then again, maybe some limitation, and okay, we could select actually it from here and see. Again, for O and U stirrups, we have them separate for openings and separate for perimeter, right? This will just switch on or off to create them or not to create, and then we have vertical or horizontal bars around opening, right? And then again, top or bottom or both, or should they be different kind of options here. And for U-shape bars, I will choose stirrup tie. I think it's the best way to go. And then because of bending radius and so on. And then rebar bar type, this one is okay. Then we have some settings. What should be the cover distances, what should be distance from the edge of the opening, what should be the length of U-bar, what should be the step, what should be the distance, similar to the mesh settings, right? And then these at the bottom means that that if the distance between openings is smaller than this value, then it will create O stirrup. Or if I will switch it off, it will not create O stirrup at all. It will not create U-shape stirrup at all. So if there's not enough space for U-shape, it will create O-shape in this case. And then I will also use some hook type, right? Because that's quite common what I use. And then a horizontal U-shape around openings. So the same, just quickly select these, select all of these settings, and like that, right? And then, so this is around opening again. So if I'll link now again, the third one, configuration, and we'll run create rebar. So that's what I have now. So I have 50 millimeters from here, and then it's just distributed to that direction based on my configuration settings. And then here's not enough space for U-shape, right? So that's why I got O-shape reinforcement. So that's how it works. Then let's go ahead and create reinforcement along perimeter. So it will be very similar options like vertical and horizontal reinforcement. Again, what kind of bars do you want to use? Should it be stirrup? Should it be what should be the size of the reinforcement, the length, the step, the distance from the side, and then vertical, horizontal stirrups, I want to have them as well. And then I want to use these hooks at the ends, and that's good. I think that's enough. I'll save it and update by wall link one more time just to see the result. So yeah, so that's the U elements distributed along the edges like that. And here is perimeter also settings, that there is not enough space, and then O-shape was created in this kind of case, right? So you can choose to delete them at all, or just distribute them like this. Yeah, and let's see. So that's if you have, I think there's some kind of question. So there was the question if there is a webinar of this record of this webinar. So yeah, I'm recording it. Okay, so there are like question if it's small wall or big wall. So that's good. Yeah, for prefabricated elements, but you will see that actually I've been using this for bigger walls. Like it doesn't matter what's the size of the wall, right? It will find all the openings and cuts. But I'm just more concentrating on prefab. But it will be applied in the same way for the cast in place walls or something like that, or bigger precast walls. And can you do example of opening the more than 4 edges? Well, I will try to show you these walls, okay? So we'll see if we'll find something more fancy than this one, right? So what I will do now, I will show you further on this one, right? So we have main bar, okay? We'll do it. We'll check for these elements, how does it work? We'll create rebar for these guys. So I just want to show you slightly about this, like how it can handle different shapes of walls. So It's a little bit more of them over here, so we'll need to 8. But anyway, you see we have like a wall which has different cut when it has different kind of profile edits, right? Then it has window openings, when it has triangle shape, when it has 2 cuts at the top, then okay, so this one is pretty similar. We have this step like we have some foundation situations or something, then so yeah, basically these kind of shapes. And then for example this wall, right, it has this kind of cut. So again, it's like one mesh over here, one mesh over here. I can select and modify this one, and for example I will show you like if I will use negative value over here and we'll save it. Okay, so we'll have it like this, right? So extend it over here, or yep, right? So you get that for external layer, or you can do that for internal layer. So it depends which one do you want to extend, or do you need to extend actually. And then I have cut over here, right? So again, this one will follow this new situation. I have cut with angles, so again it will handle it pretty good. So this kind of features. Now when you apply one of the configuration, actually you can go ahead and say that now I want to use another configuration, for example this one, right? So or maybe which should be more maybe interesting, we'll select these walls and create reinforcement now for these. So you see I select all the rebars and windows, doesn't matter, it will filter out walls. And then so now it just generated these perimeter bars, right? So we have this diagonal bar created because of these changes. We have these bars over here created. Okay, so this one, like now it's like U-shape more or less with some anchoring distances. This guy also now has a little bit more information, right? So it has more rebars. Or this one again, it's just placing these kind of rebars in these shapes, and over here we have similar situation, right? And then yeah, so that's the way, and you can apply as many configurations of course as you want, but it's not necessary. You can actually create configuration where you have all information in one configuration. So basically if I will choose solid wall, default that is so this one, and I have all the rebars in one configuration, so it will create now rebars like edge reinforcement and wall reinforcement and mesh reinforcement, and I have these guys as well crossing my panels. Then I have these guys just meeting this distance, and that's why it's bending them. Yeah, so that's the way you can go. And now this is solid walls, right? But what about sandwich walls? So sandwich wall. So I have a couple of different examples here, but what I want to show you, maybe I'll go actually to the 3D view with parts, and I want to show you one of the examples. Let's say I have this sandwich wall. You see in Revit we can have multi-layered walls, right? 1 layer, 2, 3 layers of wall. Then what I will do now, I will say I will create parts from it, and then maybe in the level 1 I can make some modifications to these parts. So I will select parts, and what I will do, I will say I want to have shape handles, and then when I select each part, I can do like, for example, like this, right? For example, this kind of changes. I will go to section and maybe slightly move these guys like that. So basically I'm trying to get the shape of my of my layers of the wall. So you will see that these red guys are just parts now, and this one is full wall. So what I will do now, I will select this wall, go to wall link, and then you see this wall type, it has 3 layers as I showed you previously, but now I can assign different configuration for different wall layer, right? For this one, I don't want to place any reinforcement. For this one, I want to use this configuration, and for that one, another configuration. And then if I will now click on create reinforcement, so basically the way the tool works is it's creating and using parts as boundaries for reinforcement. So you'll see that now one configuration was used for this part and another configuration was used on this part. How can I show it in a better way? From the top probably, it's quite good. So you see it's following the shape of parts. So basically that's one of the ways, but if you have the wall simply and then you cut the wall with some kind of voids to get the good shape, or you want to have, I don't know, architectural cuts like trapezoidal cuts or something, and then some details placed, right? So anyway, let's take a look if configurations is assigned, and then when I choose to create, it will create parts in the background, and then it will follow the shape of them, right? So anyway, I get, even if I didn't create parts, I didn't move parts, these cuts are cutting the parts actually, and I get the good shape of reinforcement here. It's just maybe different connections, but anyway, slightly different offsets should be used. But anyway, that's the way you can use it, right? So you can use it on different shapes of elements. Yeah, let's move on maybe to this one. This is again sandwich wall. If I would, what I want to do with this wall, actually, I want to use again smart connections because I want to have some more elements. So I will insert elements. I will choose walls category for the configuration. I have this configuration, and I have just a couple of elements to insert here. So I wanna have here a cut at one end of the wall, another cut over here, another cut at the bottom of the wall, some plates inserted, right, for the connection or some of the wall maybe, and these are Revit families, right? Phase-based families, so you can modify them, you can add them additional pieces. So it depends on situation if it's worth it to create new configuration, or is it just worth it maybe to add some pieces manually. But most of the things maybe you can just create like that, and then I will create parts for this wall. Actually, I want to have parts for this wall. Is this that now? Okay, so I see both of them. That's okay. And then I will select this wall. Let's take a look to the yeah, we have configurations assigned, create reinforcement, and let's see results. Now it's just calculating both geometry of both layers of reinforcement, and I have quite plenty of reinforcement selected here. So let's wait. All right, should be coming. All right, good. So we have these walls and reinforcement, right? So let's actually isolate this one. Let's cut it out, and I want to show you like this from the top view, maybe. And I will cut off the internal layer, and this is outside layer. I'll hide parts maybe. Okay, so it's a little bit more clear, visible. So you see I have two rebars at the edges, and then I have these elements, and then I have one mesh in this layer because this is thin facade layer, so I have only one mesh. Some rebars over here. I have edge reinforcement as well. And then if we'll take a look to the internal part of the wall, so it would look maybe slightly more because I don't want to see this internal insulation layer. And you see here we have quite similar, just we have two meshes, right? And we have two edge bars going on. So this kind of set, so different configuration is used for inner part of a wall. We can also take a look to the section maybe. How does it look? So I have here U bars, I have edge bars, I have horizontal bars, I have here the same edge bar, mesh bars, and so on. So distributed based on my configurations, right? Okay, so that's the way, right? And we could use maybe the last example for the different kind of example, maybe. For these walls, I will use smart connections. Again, I will insert some configurations which I already prepared, so I will use auto insert because I can add the name of configuration which should be used on the walls. So I'm using a specific workflow here because I'm inserting elements on the walls. So I have cuts, chamfers, I have cut with a slope, I have corbel as a supporting element. So this is like for the garage buildings, and this is lifting points based on gravity point. And now when I have elements in the walls, I will insert elements in the columns as well by using auto insert because this is quite standard situation. So I can save my configurations to computer and then use them in different projects, right? So it's not like you need this to redo this for every project, especially if you have some rules, right? So what you see here is that I have details for the columns, but this detail is just placed at the location of this plate in the wall. So you see that here I have one bolt, and here, because I have two walls connected, I have two bolts. So that smart connections, it has these cool features to find elements and place other elements based on that. All right, yeah, but let's move on with reinforcement a little bit. So I'll pick these walls. Okay, maybe I think that's enough to use one of them. Just let me see if I can check just one more time if I have configuration assigned. Yeah, so this is different wall. Again, I will use this configuration. Okay, so create reinforcement. And then this will be again a little bit different example, just to show you that I have here horizontal elements only, right? I didn't place vertical mesh elements, but here I have, if I'll modify, I will show you that when I set up U-shape, I entered big value for the length of the U-shape. So that's why I'm getting O-shape reinforcement over here. So now basically I have O-shape reinforcement in that direction, straight bars going as a, you can call them strand or whatever if you use them. Maybe it's more in United States, but anyway. And then this, at the end, I have also U-shape bars, right? So just distributed like that. So that's another example, right? How can you use that? And all of the configurations for reinforcement, they are saved in configuration file location. So you define whether you want to keep them, do you want to share them with your colleagues, and so on. So let me take a look to the to your comments. Okay, is there hooks at the end of the bars? Some of them definitely has them. Not sure about which one you are asking, so maybe we could talk about this later. I guess that's for question for seismic zones, maybe. But yeah, yeah, these are currently like separated bars. It's not like a bar set or reinforcement bar. And yeah, so okay, one of the guys is really happy about it. Anyway, yeah, okay, so suggestions to go for the beams and columns, good. And does it show the total weight of reinforcement? So you can see that through the schedules, right? There's again a question if we could be grouped like a set of reinforcement. We didn't make that at the moment, just thought that maybe it's not necessary, but we will see. Like we have this option at least for the maybe next update, you know. So if I see that you have this question, so probably we can do it for the next update. The question about collisions between bars, so no, clash detection is not there yet, so you need to control that or modify them later. Reinforcement in stairs, no, this is completely about the walls. Okay, so some old clients get back about this tool. Some of them been waiting for this. So with slat spandrel beam, I'm not sure what you mean, but it should be wall category if you want to work it today, right? If you want to start using it today, it should be wall category. Later on, we will see it probably. Okay, I see you have really a lot of different kind of questions, but let me just go a little bit further and then show you, like I said, like full quick workflow with precast concrete, and we will get to the shop drawing stage and we will see that I will answer at the same time a couple of questions you had. So so precast concrete, let me just say a couple of words. We have some different kind of tools here, right? So, but so some of them are for walls. Okay, so this one, Smart Walls, is to work with, like you draw a wall in Revit. It's like a big one wall, and if you want to, actually, doesn't matter. As I said previously, you can start using a reinforcement on these kind of walls, right? But if you're working with if you work with precast elements, so you probably want to divide them into smaller pieces. So what I will do, I will select all of these, go to Smart Walls, wall gaps, and then I will say disallow joints. I have some settings like gap configuration. So I define what should be the gap. Then I do a split or disallow joint of the walls. So I get this kind of situation. And then let me just quickly show you a couple of other commands, like I can use a split wall menu. I have some settings, what should be the size of panel, or how to split around openings or from the face. So I will use them, but I made a lot of other webinars about it, so I will just quickly run through commands instead of explaining too much on this. So I'm trying to build up my model now by using different commands, like I want to split this one by face of another one, and you'll see now I have some offset from this face. I also had this in the settings, right? I have options to split around openings in different kind of ways, so I'll use this one. What else I can use? I can go to level 1 and I'll show you another one. Like I have wall and I have grid lines over here, you see. So I will say that I want to split by grid lines. So I have here now again split, right? So I have smaller pieces. So if we talk about precast concrete, right? So that's kind of way you can work it out to get the size of your panels. And then the next step would be to create connections. And again, I have just gonna show you a couple of like smart connections I have here, right? I will say I want to insert elements, and I will show you like this configuration should be okay. Insert details, and let's see. Now it's inserting connection elements for 14 walls, right? So 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11, and so on, and it's finished. So what happened here is that I got details on the top. So basically this is face-based family, right? You can place, it could be any kind of family. So some of at the bottom, then I have some elements at the, if we find the end connection between walls, some of the elements if we find connection like intersecting of other walls. So let me show you the configuration, right? So as I said, we can find different kind of connections between walls, between beam and wall, between connection and so on. So that's the way with one configuration I solve the corners, I solve the intersection position, I solve the ends. If there is no connection, then there is no details. So that's that kind of configuration you can quickly do. And then yeah, if you assigned already the reinforcement configuration, so probably what you will do is just select walls and click on create rebar to place them. So yeah, the next step, right, in the workflow would be to create reinforcement probably. Of course, you can update them, modify, add some details additionally with Revit, or just follow all the changes, right? Because all of the tools, they have update, modify options, right? So reinforcement added, and now I want to renumber them because now all of them, they don't have any numbering. So mark is empty, for example. So I want to change this parameter. So what I will do, I will select walls and I will use another tool from Precast Concretes. Oops, I clicked accidentally in the blank area. Okay, sort mark, renumber elements, element numbering, and let's take a look. Let's find mark, click on OK. And then I have configuration, how to group the walls for numbering, how to filter numbering, what should have influence on the number. So based on instance, so I have different parameters, right? I can choose any of them, which will have influence on the number. How should I sort them? By length, by mass, or by position in the model, by level. And then I will add prefix in the beginning, and then it will start numbering at 1. Based on all of these rules, right? Or I can add any information. Let's say I want to add the level name also, right? So I can add it here, but I will go simple. I will add only just prefix and the numbering. So, and you can again save this configuration in your computer. Click on OK, renumber, and now all of the walls in the mark, they have this already added value. Okay. And then the last step would be to create shop drawings, right? So it could be like, yeah, we have smart assemblies, but again, for smart assemblies, I will drag it from Ribbon. You have two options always: to use it from Ribbon, to drag it to the tool like this, or use the commands from here, from Tools for BIM Doc. So it depends how do you like it. And then let me see if I have my configuration here. So what time do we have? It's only already 15 minutes this webinar going, so maybe. Okay, I'll show you. Maybe it's more interesting to use it on sandwich wall. Okay, just to see what's the possibilities. It's just okay. I have mark value. I will create, and then I will use this configuration. I will click on create. So this time I'm using parts filtering. I am using filtering of reinforcement to make it possible to get the drawings. So basically, what I want to show you here is a little bit more complex, maybe than this solid wall. So more interesting, maybe result. So it has more views and more sheets and so on. So what's doing, it's taking all the hosted details, all the reinforcement into assembly automatically. You don't need to select them. I just selected the wall. Then it will create views, which I defined in configurations. And then place dimensions, which I, again, defined in configurations. And then create sheets. Oh, maybe I forgot to change the template location. Let's, okay, it was created, so maybe it's okay. So assembly is created, right? It has assembly mass calculated. Also reinforcement, okay, it should be solid if we want to get the element mass, but you can get that from Revit table as well. Let's take a look here now to the assembly created, and I have sheets already created, right? So I have a schedule. In my case, schedule is like this. I have total mass or total bar length or some shape or quantity or these values for the shape of reinforcement, right? And then I have number of details and then the mass of detail maybe. So this is my first sheet. So I have, so I see something similar in some of the clients. So then one of the sheets with former drawing. So I get automatic dimensions for the diagonal ties, these guys, which connects the inner and outer part of concrete. Then plates dimensions, vertical dimension, horizontal dimension, right? Reveals dimensions if I want to. I have total dimension of a wall. Then I have just horizontal section, two vertical sections. Again, the position of sections is defined in the template project, because in Smart Assemblies we can have template project where we keep layouts, how the views should be created. And I have some legend, so it could be text, it could be notes, it could be some standard, maybe detail, so standard Revit legend element over here. They can be repeated in many sheets, so that's why it's comfortable to use. And here is, how's it called? Inner layer of reinforcement. So this is inner layer of concrete, filter it. So I see only part actually here, only inner part of the wall and reinforcement. Currently, I didn't place any dimensions here, but for the outer layer reinforcement, now I also added dimensions. So what's possible, right? At the moment from Smart Assemblies. So I got some reinforcement for the vertical bars around openings. I get reinforcement for the edge bars, for the mesh bars, right? And total dimension as well over here. So Smart Assemblies has configurations, right? Where you define how many views do you want to create, right? So you see all of these views which I selected, legend to place, and all the views to create, and then how many schedules do I want to have, and then what kind of how many sheets do I want to create. So this kind of stuff you can define and define how dimensions should be placed, or how to dimension elements, rebars, plates, how to place notes on the left, on the right. So this kind of stuff. For those who didn't see this tool yet, so that's the way how does it work. And we can let's see what about this one. So I'll select wall again. You see I select wall, and then I create assemblies. I wanted to create reinforcement again instead of assembly. So again, I can insert gravity point as well to the assembly. And so on. So different kind of stuff I can do with Smart Assemblies. It's very flexible. It can be used in Canada, it could be used in Sweden, it could be used in Dubai and Russia, whatever. So different countries are using this tool, and different, you have this different manufacturers asking for different standards. All right, good. And for this wall, actually, I already got the gravity point location, and I have, I think, the element mass of reinforcement for each rebar. So again, I can add this to the schedule if I want. And the drawings, again, I have two sheets selected for this wall. So I have one sheet for elements to be dimensioned. So let's say plate and lifters, just small pieces, and then I have assembly mass or concrete volume generated as schedules, and maybe another sheet for the reinforcement and reinforcement table, right? So this kind of stuff I wanted to share with you today. I'll take a look if you have any other questions. Can we define connection reinforcement between two walls, wall slab? No, not yet. It's more like it's probably would be beneficial for the cast in place. Yeah, well, at this moment, the first release, it doesn't have this kind of like bended rebar somewhere at the top of wall reinforcement. So at the moment, it doesn't have that. So that was answer to Andre Owens. All right. How do you add center of gravity? It's calculated automatically based on the material mass of elements and the shape of elements and so on. And the question is, can we make a rebar schedule for multiple walls? So I'm not sure what is it about. It's maybe it's about schedules like standard schedules, project schedules. So basically, it's Revit question maybe or not. We can figure it out, but you see, we could have all the reinforcement or filtered reinforcement. So Revit allows that. Not sure if you knew this, but yeah, it gives you bending and so on. So at the moment, I guess that's what I wanted to share with you. If you'll have other questions, we'll get in contact, okay? Via email, we can drop you an email and we can talk it out. What concerns, what do you need, and we will see how to move on, okay? Because of course there's plenty to develop still, but I'm really happy with the tool at the moment. So I hope you like it and thank you for your attention, and let's keep in touch. If you want to get the trial, you can download this Tools for BIM doc from our webpage. Select your version of Revit and try it. You can get trial of any tools for 2 weeks. Good. So there's a contact email if you want to ask something additional. And thank you for attention and have a good day. Bye bye.
AGACAD, building BIM together.